Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Kennedy and Zetchukwu to defeat Ovens St. Preux. And I'm here to talk about the apparently what is called UFC Fight Night 239. That's what I went with, even though it's also called UFC on Vegas 88 or whatever, or UFC on ESPN 88, whatever. Either way, this was an event that was headlined by Marcin Tybura and Tai Tuivasa, and I'll start there. Marcin Tybura was just too much for Tai. Tai Tuivasa, I think he's had his run, but this was one of those fights that he needed to win. Marcin Tybura is one of those guys that could exploit him on the ground, but also he's been knocked out a bunch, and Tai tried to make it happen, but the second things went wrong, they went off the rails. The fight went off the rails for him, and Tybura got him out of there. Tybura is a guy that is a beast on top, and Tai Tuivasa, despite patching up some holes over the years, I'm sure, I don't see it. Not when he's fighting these top 10, top 15 fighters in the world. It's just always going to look the same. And Marcin Tybura was way too much for him, and he got a finish within a few minutes. Got the takedown within a few minutes, and then from there, just another few minutes, and he put him away. I think Marcin Tybura is still going strong. You look, he's had a lot of success lately, and the only loss, despite being a knockout, that certainly takes something away from you, and he's got to worry about that at age 37 or whatever, 38. But he's looked really good beating and exposing a lot of limited fighters that are considered top heavyweights. So Marcin Tybura just does that again here against Tai Tuivasa, who, despite being limited in whatever, he's a guy that knocked out Derek Lewis, and he's had plenty of high profile fights in the UFC, headlined events, kind of like this one. But Tybura separated himself from Tai Tuivasa and the rest of those one-dimensional fighters. So another great win for Marcin Tybura, a great bounce-back victory. And for Tai, again, I think his days are done as a top heavyweight. Certainly that run to the title, I think that was it for him. But he's still going to stick around, and the guy's exciting. Great character and must-see TV. That brings me to Brian Battle versus Angelosa. All right. Just saying that kind of took the wind out of my sails. I really wanted Brian Battle to win this fight just for betting purposes and whatever, and he was denied that. I thought he was on his way to winning the fight, but Angelosa was presented with an opportunity, I think, and he kind of checked out. I don't know. I don't want to shit on him because I know I'd check out in the moment, and I'm sure he's tough and gritty and whatever the fuck, but I think he felt a little outmatched here and wasn't quite overwhelmed yet, but he was definitely outmatched. And I don't know, his eyesight, I think, could have come back to normal if he really tried. But Brian Battle, despite not getting the win, the green mark on SureDog or Wikipedia or Tapology, and despite not getting the winning bonus and taking care of his family and everybody, he still looked good. So there's that. I thought he was on his way to a victory, which is probably why he was so pissed. And my estimation of him as a fighter has risen here. Maybe not tremendously, but this was a good victory, a good fight. He was on his way to a victory. I thought he was going to duplicate some of the success of that guy that beat Angelosa in the LFA, and it looked like he was doing so. Great striking on the outside, and just really managed his distance very well. The guy didn't seem like he was in trouble at all, and he was beating Angelosa up. So, good performance, if not a victory. Now I can talk about Ovin St. Preux beating Kennedy and Zetchukwu. This wasn't the greatest fight, but I thought Ovin St. Preux did enough to win. I was pretty sure he was going to get the nod here. I thought Kennedy and Zetchukwu just let himself be neutralized. And I thought coming into the fight, the only reason I didn't bet on him is because of the knockout. I thought these guys are just too big, and each one of them has a susceptible chin. And I thought Ovens could knock him out. But instead, he let himself be neutralized by Ovin St. Preux. Like the 45-year-old ghost of Shogun Hua 2 years ago. But Ovin St. Preux, he's still got enough tricks up his sleeve, and I guess he's healthy enough where he can beat Kennedy Nzechukwu, who's probably in the top half of the UFC. I don't know. But Kennedy, my estimation of him as a fighter has gone down. For Ovince St. Preux, look, my estimation as a fighter, I guess, goes up a little bit, even though he's very near retirement. I didn't expect him to win, and he won as a major underdog, but he's a guy that's scratched and clawed and beaten some great fighters throughout his career, and this is not probably in his top 5 victories. But at considering all the factors and the point that they're at in their careers, this was an excellent win, although still not too thrilling. But Kennedy, you can't just outlast someone, and you can't just narrowly outpoint someone. It's not going to work. I don't know what the stats were there, but again, I thought OSP got the better of him, and this was really a shit loss for Kennedy Nzechukwu, who's the guy whose future you have to focus on. And I don't think it looks too bright now. So another shit loss for Kennedy Nzechukwu. For Ovince St. Preux, well, I hope he keeps going. I hope he doesn't fight too many killers and whatever, because I think his health is on the line, certainly. But he can still fight. Speaking of which, Christian Rodriguez beat Isaac Dolgarian. This was an incredible fight. I don't think this got fight of the night. I don't think there was a fight of the night, but this was a fight of the night. When there are 2 10-8 rounds in one fight, especially for opposing fighters, that's fight of the night. This fight was very close. I thought Isaac would have gotten the decision. I thought Christian Rodriguez made the most of his moments in round 2 and had good optics, which is not nothing, obviously. But I still thought Isaac Dolgarian did enough to secure that second round. But regardless, I'm always happy when the guy who gives that kind of effort that Christian Rodriguez did in round 3 is rewarded, even with a fucking robbery. Not that this was a robbery, but I'd say it should have went the other way. But Christian Rodriguez is a reliable round 3 fighter. His traits are always there for him, and they've already been proven. And for Isaac Dolgarian, you have to look to this fight and say, right now, it's about his cardio. I mean, he looked great early on, good in the middle, and bad in the end, or horrible in the end. But it's not lost on me that the guy didn't get finished when he absolutely should have, and 99.9% of all fucking fucks would have been finished. Because when the tables turn, especially for the first time, and especially in the third round, where you've never even been to the second round, but now the third round, and you got this kid with all this energy dominating you, the beast of a wrestler and Isaac Dolgarian, he should have been finished, even to a weaker guy and whatever. But he didn't get finished. And my estimation of him definitely went up as an overall fighter, thinking he can take it and whatever. But he's got cardio that he's got to work on, because that's how he let this fight slip away, even if it was a bad decision and whatever. No doubt it was round 3 that got it done for Christian Rodriguez. So Isaac Dolgarian still got a very promising future. But this was a tough loss. And you know what? Not a bad learning lesson at all. Again, a lot of people learn that lesson by getting knocked out in round 2, like who's the guy, Bernardo Sapai or whatever. And instead, he made it to the final bell, and according to me anyway, probably should have walked away with the decision. So overall, good effort, but a tough loss and learning lesson. And for Christian Rodriguez, again, I love these round 3 fighters, and he's one of them that I marked as a round 3 fighter, and he showed up here. Although, I burnt money, wasting on money on round 3 props for Christian Rodriguez and Chad Anheliger. Although at the time, I didn't feel like I was wasting money. Macy Chiasson beat Pani Kianzad by rear naked choke. This was a fight that went similar to the first fight. Wasn't as action-packed, but she was just too much. Too big, strong, physical, and beast on top of you, on your back. And Pani Kianzad's finished for the first time since her UFC debut against Macy Chiasson in their first fight. This was a great win for Macy, a girl that, between the two of them, I thought they're both good UFC-level fighters, but Macy's the girl that had all the promise. Of course, winning the Ultimate Fighter in the first place, beating Larissa Pacheco, which is aged like a fine wine, and now having only tough losses. Even that Irene Aldana fight could have gone her way, if she survived and blah, 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 blah. But here she did didn't let anything slip away, and she secured the victory early. Great dominant performance from Macy Chiasson. Gerald Meerschaert looked great in this fight. I don't know if Brian Barberina technically knocked him down. I think it might be ruled a knockdown. I haven't checked the stats, but I don't think Meerschaert was ever hurt. I think he was just having trouble with the timing and whatever, but still looked ahead of Brian Barberina from the get go. In my opinion, I thought he looked ahead of him from the beginning and was way too much for him on the ground. Even though, as you see there, it's a technical submission with a face crank because Brian Barberina wasn't going to tap. Brian Barberina is tough as fuck, but he is limited on the ground. And Gerald Meerschaert is not. He's exceptional on the ground. And he was fighting a guy that didn't have a size, strength, and athleticism advantage over him. And he looked like that guy, and he was dominant. So excellent win for Meerschaert. Round 2 submission. He did his thing, even though his thing is technically round 3. He gets it done late, and that was the case here. Mike Davis won via arm triangle choke over Natan Levy. I picked Mike Davis to win, but if I'd broken down the fight with each fighter winning by knockout / TKO, submission, or decision, Mike Davis via submission would have been my last pick. I would have had Natan Levy knocking him out before that, and Natan's never knocked anyone out, and Davis has never been knocked out. But both guys have been rocked. Both guys are good grapplers. Whatever. I didn't think it would end with an arm triangle choke from Mike Davis, and that's how it ended. He looked phenomenal in this fight. Beastly, striking, grappling, wrestling, and largely dominant in this fight. And again, gets a finish in round 2 against a guy that I did not expect him to finish, not with an arm triangle choke. So my estimation of Mike Davis has skyrocketed. My big takeaway from all these fighters is I guess Mike Davis was the star. My estimation of him skyrocketed, and he was a minus 500 favorite. So he really, really impressed me here, and that's awesome. And for Natan Levy, I think he was up against a beast of a fighter that doesn't get the respect he deserves yet, but still, tough loss, and he was submitted. So new wrinkle to his profile. Chelsea Chandler beat Josiane Nunes. This was a very close fight. I thought this one could have gone either way. I picked Chelsea to win, and I felt fortunate to get the victory. But I still thought she looked good. That straight left was there for her. And she was beast, not dominant on top, but bigger and just really physical on top of Josiane Nunes, and definitely scored some points there on top of her. But in round 3, I think Josiane Nunes certainly fought her way back into the fight. And even though she wasn't able to hurt Chelsea to the point of getting a 10-8, she was largely dominant and did the best job of either fighter really beating the other one up. And she did so down the stretch. So Chelsea, not that she's got to work on her cardio or whatever, but halfway there with this performance. That was my big negative takeaway from her. But still, she fought hard for the victory and beat Josiane Nunes for the first time since her debut, Josiane Nunes, I think over 10 years ago against Taila Santos by decision. So, great fucking win. Jafel Filho beat O'Day Osborne. This was settled with that first takedown. I forget what happened. I think Jafel took O'Day down. They had a little reversal, whatever, but Jafel got on top. He secured top position, and the fight was pretty much over there. Got him out of there with a rear naked choke, close to the end of round 1. O'Day Osborne is not bad as a grappler, but Jafel Filho is much better as a grappler. And I think Jafel Filho, if he gets anybody down, they're in danger. You know, even Muhammad Makayev, or if Muhammad Makayev gets him down or whatever. You're in danger, and Jafel Filho made him feel that danger right away. It was all over him. Once he beat him on that wrestling and strength battle, it was all about jiu-jitsu, and with the positional advantage, it was over. So great win for Jafel Filho. He didn't have to get hurt this time, but he got another finish deep into round 1 and looked phenomenal. Danny Silva beat Josh Kulabau by split decision. This was a very close fight. Both these guys are kind of limited, kind of durable, definitely durable, kind of limited, but very heavy on the hand, especially Danny Silva, excellent boxer. And I do think I'd have to look at the stats. I don't know. I could just pull them up here, but I'm assuming he had more activity. He was more active. Kulabau was sitting back looking for power shots, and he started to turn the fight around at moments, but never that big moment where he took the fight over completely. And Danny Silva, his hands were always there. Razor thin fight, but no matter what, even if it went the other way, I'd say it was a great debut for Danny Silva. Great debut. And for Josh Kulabau, another loss where he looked really, really tough in defeat. This guy's a tough scrapper, and he's got a lot of heart. Again, that one time he's been finished, he was injured, and it was also to that fucking monster, Jalen Turner. So, but a great debut for Danny Silva. And for Joshua Kulabau, he's got to keep winning to stay afloat, but he's still going to keep going in the UFC, I believe. Jacqueline Amorim, I'm pretty sure she's going to keep going in the UFC, seeing as she got an armbar in 100 seconds, in 98 seconds. She's a monster. She's a monster. I really just want to see her fight in round 2 and round 3, even if she's winning, losing, whatever, and not total dominance like she had against Montserrat Ruiz or whatever. But here, Corey McKenna, who I thought was precisely the type of girl to make her pay down the stretch and to give her that scrappy kind of fight like Sam Hughes. She wasn't able to pass that first round test. Jacqueline Amorim was dominant, and Corey McKenna, despite having never been finished as an amateur or a pro, I believe, certainly as a pro, she got finished for the first time here. She got finished twice, really. Whatever, I forget the hiccup. I'd have to rewatch it, but I just remember them going, "Oh no!" Where Mike Beltran stopped the fight, and then in the next breath said, "What are you doing? Keep going. What are you looking at me for?" And then she secured the armbar anyway. So a little hiccup, funny moment, whatever the fuck, but she still got her second finish within 100 seconds. Fucking excellent for Jacqueline Amorim. The danger is her biggest trait, and again, I want to see her go deep into the fight, but I'm assuming she's working hard on that round 3 performance for the next time she has to give it. Thiago Moises beat Mitch Ramirez, chopped him down. Thiago Moises, who's much shorter, smaller guy, and definitely a better grappler. He's still a good enough fighter where here against a newcomer, he looked like fucking Ernesto Hoost. And I thought it was a great performance for him. He's got a few TKOs, I believe, but let me actually fucking check this out, see how many TKOs he has. He's got 4 TKOs in his 18 wins. So he had 3 out of 17 coming into this fight. But he got a very good TKO here. Chopped him down. Again, looked like Ernesto Hoost. It's the only kickboxer I know. And it looked like Rico Verhoeven. But he was way too much for Mitch Ramirez, and that was the one area where I thought Mitch Ramirez had a shot. Even though he's a beast and he can rip you to the mat, Thiago Moises was too good on the ground, and standing up, he was way too good as well. So left Mitch Ramirez no options. Definitely a tougher debut than most, Thiago Moises, and he fucking made good on it. Made good on the odds there. And Chad Anheliger beat Charalampos Gregorio. This was another fight, kind of like Christian Rodriguez, where I really wanted the round 3 finish because I bet on it. And Chad fought hard for my money. I thought he could have won that fight any which way. I think he would have had a better chance of a finish if he put Charalampos Gregorio on the ground, maybe. But instead, he was on the feet, and I thought he could have won that fight with leg kicks, let alone knock a chin shot or body shot. But he was working everything, getting the better of him, and I thought he looked incredible here. Just a little bit of a wrestling hiccup early in round 1, and then after that I thought he pretty much took over the fight and looked like the comeback king that he is. Even if he was down on the scorecards in round 1, I knew by the beginning of round 2 he was going to take over that fight, and he did so pretty quickly. And then in round 3, he had his best round, but because Charalampos Gregorio, his cardio wasn't there for him, which has been his biggest issue coming into this fight. It's now failed him in 3 of his 4 losses, and I haven't seen the other one, I think. But Chad Anheliger's got excellent cardio, and that was the story of the fight. Great fucking win for Chad. He bounces back, keeps his UFC career going, and he's still a very interesting fighter that can present a very difficult matchup for a lot of guys that don't think he can or don't think he will. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other